This is our Ford 555. Was a backhoe loader, now just a loader. We got this from Clint from CNC Equipment. He drug it out of the woods. We paid him 500 bucks to truck the thing down here to us. And we've put a lot of time and effort into it since then, rebuilding everything. The engine, hydraulic hoses, the front end, counterweights, a whole bunch of stuff we put into this, and it's a very reliable machine. We ended up buying that Cat 304 mini excavator from Dirt Perfect, and if you've ever ran a mini X compared to a backhoe, you know, it's just night and day difference. And we ended up taking the backhoe off of this thing because you also know, if you've ever ran a backhoe as a loader with the hoe hanging off the back end of the thing, it's a fairly awkward loader. So we wanted it to be more of a loader and have the capacity to pull implements behind it, like a road drag or a road grade, the wheeled version with hydraulic adjustments. So we're gonna put some auxiliaries on the back of that thing and maybe a dump trailer or something like that. Basically, we're trying to make this thing more useful for what we need without buying something brand new or buying something off of Facebook Marketplace. We're just gonna make what we need with what we've got laying around and a little bit of new steel. We were able to stuff 2,500 pounds of counterweight in the backhoe box of this thing, and it fits in pretty well. And I've got a good plan on how to get that mounted securely. It's not going to be in this video, but we have a plan and we'll talk about it. The main thing we're going to do in this video, we took the valve body out for what ran the backhoe. We chopped her down to size and we've got it reassembled with new hardware. Had some custom threaded rods made at our local machine shop. And this is going to give us 3 remotes. The idea coming right out the back of this thing. And then that way we can run some hydraulic powered implements off the back of this thing. And that's going to work really well. We want to try to get it mounted up there so it's next to the operator station. That's the goal. So the first step is we got to get this remounted to the valve block. Now we can reuse, there's a hole right there we can reuse, but we're going to have to do some fabrication to bring some steel down to catch this one. Let me see if I can spin this thing around. Now we can reuse this hole right here, and we can catch a hole right here, but I'd feel better if we caught a total of 3. So what we're going to do is get these 2 attached first. Looking pretty good like that. Couldn't imagine a more professional setup. Yeah. What in the matrix is happening? I didn't move the wood that was sitting here. What is going on? They make stands for these portable bandsaws like this. I'm just going to use my throttle control here. I got it clamped in the vise. It's an old bracket off a Skag. I think we can utilize it. I'm just going to clip this off first, and then we'll figure out what that cut needs to be. Whoopsie poopsie. gonna kind of go at a little bit of an angle like that. Yeah, let me get a grinder. My ground clamp's holding on for dear life right now, so we're C-clamped. See? Anyway, pretty close to where I want to be there. The plan here is to just tack it where I want it, and we'll take it off, weld it up, clean it up. I think that's one of my favorite things about welding. You take something that's 2 pieces of metal and look at that. Now it's 1 piece of metal. Magical. Very magical. Well, let's get it bolted on there and then in there, and I don't know how I got the whole thing out. Get in there. Yes. What is that? A wasp. Oh no, shit. I don't have time for you. Where'd you come from? Come on. I got the leathers. Where'd you come from? Up in there somewhere? That big old gaping hole in the roof? Yeah. Oh. It needs a shin anyway. That's what I'm saying. This off right there. Got the old Seat Simulator 3000 here. Check that rig out anyway. Just cruising down the road. Backhoe seat rotates to the left like this. This is about at 90 degrees. Adjustments to the grader box. Dump the load of dirt, whatever I'm doing. It's right there. That's pretty comfortable. The only thing I got to check, I may just set the actual seat frame in here real quick. I need to make sure I got enough clearance for all my hoses right here. These hoses will just 90 out back to there. Plenty of room for that. Nice and gentle like. I don't know, she's pretty tight. Pretty tight. I need to slide this bad boy back a little bit. More like that. So I'm gonna make this frame to hold the valving out of some square tubing I have. And I'm not gonna clean the torch with that because there's nothing in there. We're just gonna use the torch to cut it because I just like using the torch. I just enjoy it. I want this to come up just a little bit so it's not sitting directly on the ground. Better go inside and measure this. Lucky number 13 on the height. All right, where'd my glasses go? Listen, I had to run a quick errand, and now I done lost everything. Don't get me wrong, the wood burns, but it'll still give me a little bit of a straight edge. Oh, watch the tent, Mike. Watch the tent. We're gonna take this and we're gonna weld it up right here. And we're gonna bring a stud off of it so we can bolt up through that. That's what I'm thinking, but I gotta get a bunch of that junk out of the way down. I don't know what all this is. I think this is just a tab to hold that weather stripping. That's all that. It doesn't take me long to look at things. I can tell you that's hot. Okay. So we're gonna weld it up. When it's windy out and you're relying on shielding gas like with MIG, and the wind blows while you're welding, you end up with a little bit of that. Blows your shielding gas off. Overall, not awful for an amateur. We may touch her up with the grinder real quick. understand the idea behind the weather stripping, but we're not that concerned about it. And all it does is just traps moisture and lets that bottom end rot. If we take it out, the water can just run out. It'll have air. Yeah. We ain't running AC in this thing. There we go. Let me get all that out of the way. And then look, the dirt just goes right out. Stay. Stay. Listen, for a guy that isn't all that great at welding, minus that little wire mishap, for a vertical weld, I'd be satisfied. Yep, a little loss of gas there, but overall, not bad at all. And then we left this angled back so the floor's open, pressure washing purposes and getting water out in the future. If we keep it off the floor, then hopefully the bottom won't be as tempted to rot out on us. That's my mindset anyway. And then we did this tubing so it's super stiff. We could just done a bracket, but this isn't the thickest metal, and we're gonna be yanking on these levers pretty good, so I wanted to stiffen that up the best we could. So with it being in the corner and that tubing, we ought to be able to yank on that all we want. It is a new afternoon. We've got this hooked up, just loosely bolted on there. I like the way you were looking. I just need to do a little trimming on this bracket so it can clear the fender properly. We'll get that bolted tight, and then we'll figure out how we're gonna do this side over here. I'm gonna try to do this inside the cab with the cutoff wheel, so I don't have to keep taking this thing. Always catching on fire around here. Look at that. That's beaut. So that's how that's going to be secured on this end. And I'll try to get something on this end figured out. Got an idea. Got some of this plate left over from a previous project. It's 3/4. There's another thing we need to accomplish. And I think with the help of this, we can accomplish both of them. I had an actual hammer. Not bad for an amateur. The idea to help secure the counterweights, we're going to run front of the box to the back of the box like that. Okay. Then we're going to blast a hole that lines up with the holes in the counterweight, and then we can drop a pin through those. Of course, I'll have to put a hole in the bottom of the box as well, but that's the idea. We'll weld this up real stout. To do that, we've got to get this counterweight centered up. Let me see if I can shove a big bar in there. I just need to get the top one for now. Looks like it should go in a little further too. I need it to come over this way, son. That's 2.5 by 2.5. It's 2.5 diameter for the outside circle, and what we need is 1 inch on the inside. So we can go 1.25 inches. Should be our center. Inch. See if we can get that hole blown in there. Tricky part about blowing through or starting to hold the middle is that slag has to go somewhere. I'm still kind of learning. I've been doing it for a couple years now on my own, but if I remember correct, I just got to get that puddle to shove somewhere out of the way as we dig through, and then once we get the hole, we can follow that outside line. So I'm just trying to get penetration first, and then we'll the perimeter there. We're gonna replace this cheapo ground clamp that messed up real quick before we get started welding here. This clamp is definitely bigger than it needs to be for the welder we're running, but I'm certainly not against it. We'll probably go tighter than that one more, why not? So I've got a piece of handle here that is about 1 inch in diameter. It's obviously not what we're gonna use for the pin, but it'll help me kind of get this plate lined up where it needs to be with the weights. And then we're just gonna run probably 27 miles of wire to make sure we get a good built up, strong enough weld to hold this thing and just to help hold these weights in place. Then after that, we'll work on the bracket for the actual handles itself. So on the bottom side of that, there's some reinforcement right there. I need to trim and clean that up so we can get this to sit flush. Then we'll drill a hole with it. Okay. Hot. Hot, yep. That's the way it works, okay. All right. Okay. Look at that. That is a thing of beauty. We run the hoses, 90-degree fittings out, over, and we'll set our auxiliaries, or remotes I mean, through here. That's where they're gonna go. Supposed to happen is this piece gets shoved in there. You put the glass and this piece in, and then you shove that piece in and it locks it in. Everything's dry rot. Rubber's hard. I want to save the glass, but there's no point in trying to do this thing the right way whenever it's just going to end up breaking on me if I try to force it on this harder rubber, so we're just cutting it up. So you gotta use your imagination a little bit because we still got some trimming to do to make these fit right. That one went that way. Shelf on top. Door. Little toolbox, chain box integrated into the machine. And then a shelf right here with angle around there. I can put a cooler, drinks, camera equipment, whatever. Space for what I need whenever I'm working. Well, that'll be pretty daggone fancy. This is mounted and I'm pretty happy with the way she's looking. We were supposed to work on the YouTube yacht on the next video, but the metal company called. They had an issue with their soffit roller, but they got it fixed today. So they're gonna be rolling it out tomorrow, so it's gonna be a couple days late. Not a big deal if they're getting it figured out, taken care of, and at least they called and gave me a heads up and let me know so I can plan around it. So next video, we're just gonna be right back on the 555, keep going some of this fabrication. I've needed this thing a couple times since I've been working on it, so I'd kind of like to get it at least in a drivable state. That would be pretty nice. So that'll be the next video. And then back on the YouTube yacht. We got a lot of material sitting there. Soffit is coming, some trim is coming, the siding is already sitting there. We got some odds and ends with the deck and the spiral staircase ready to go. So we'll be back on that very soon, and for a while. We like this kind of stuff. We like just figuring it out. Doesn't really have a major life purpose other than it's just kind of a fun puzzle to put together. We like projects like this. And then we've got the big project going on with the YouTube yacht. So, and then stuff like the YouTube yacht going on for the big project. So hopefully stuff that you enjoy. I hope you subscribe and you stay with the channel. And for the ones that have stayed with the channel, hopefully you feel like you're getting what you want, you know? And if you're not, I don't know, life, you know, it's a fickle thing sometimes. So, thumbs up either way though, right? I hope so.